Welcome to Public Works in your neighborhood. The focus of this program is to provide you with information about the important activities taking place within our Public Works division here in the city of Fort Wayne. I'm your host, John Perlich. I oversee communications for Mayor Sharon Tucker's office as well as the Public Works division. On this month's episode, we're going to discuss how Public Works and City Council work together. I'm pleased to be joined by Sean Gunwardena. Sean serves as Public Works Director for the city of Fort Wayne. And City Councilman at Large, Marty Bender, is our guest as well. Councilman Bender also serves as the current chair of the Public Works Committee for City Council. Gentlemen, thanks so much for being on the program.
Thank you.
Sean, let's start with you. For viewers who may not be familiar with you, please share some information about yourself.
Yes, so this is, since I graduated from college, this is my 32nd year. So been doing this for a while. I've been with the city of Fort Wayne now for over 18 years. Seen a lot of changes, been a part of a lot of changes. So think I know a few things also.
Councilman Bender, same question for you.
Well, I've been with the city for 50 years now. 49 of it was with the police department. I served on the police department for a total of 49 years, and when I retired back in 2023, I was the Deputy Chief of Special Operations, which included things like the SWAT team, the bomb squad, bicycle officers, canines, the traffic division, and so I got quite a bit of experience in the area of law enforcement. I've graduated from the FBI National Academy, the National Fire Academy, the Federal Emergency Management Institute, and also the Secret Service Academy. So I've been around the block as far as law enforcement goes, and I've started my fourth term on City Council.
Councilman, I know it meant a great deal to you to have the 50 years of service with the city of Fort Wayne. I know Mayor Tucker earlier this year surprised you at a breakfast meeting. And tell us about the experience of serving in your capacity with the city of Fort Wayne and what it means to you to be a public servant.
Well, I think my father was also a police officer, and so I kind of grew up with public service and police work is in my background, and I think I was probably hardwired to serve our city, and so like I say, I spent a great deal of time with the police department, and I've been working now this will be the fourth term for City Council, and I've served on every part of the council, including president and vice president, those offices, and also the different committees. And one of the areas that I found myself really being drawn to was that of the public works. As a police officer, I spent a lot of time in the traffic division, and in the course of working various accidents and planning different events, we worked with the traffic engineering section of the city extensively. I spent a great deal of time with the traffic engineer and also in planning and doing some of the research for the city as far as the various traffic problems go, and accident investigation to try and alleviate some of those problems in the future. So it's been an interesting career so far.
As we discuss throughout the program the importance of the partnership between Public Works and also City Council, Sean, let's ask you a question or two here about the 2025 construction season. It's underway. We're investing $41.4 million here in the city this year in neighborhood infrastructure. How are things going so far with the construction season?
So far, they've been going pretty good. We've had a fairly mild winter, so we got an early start. We actually got several contracts that we've already completed, so that's been pretty good for us. Marty talked about working in the police department for 49 years, and we depend on law enforcement quite a bit, particularly during construction season, and not just to keep the public safe, but keep traffic safety as well. And one thing that has changed over the years, and Marty knows this better than anybody, is that traffic engineering used to be there at every major crash location. We were the ones who used to take photos, we used to do measurements. That has since changed over time because of the technology and things. The police department takes care of that on their own now. So just a bit of trivia from the good old days.
Council, yeah, go ahead, Councilman.
Yeah, back in the day, you go back 20, 30 years ago, you would have a guy out there with a 100-foot long tape measure and a piece of chalk and measuring out accident scenes and getting the width of the street and how long skid marks were. And over the last, probably the last 4 years or so with the advent of the drones, we have our drone people, the Air Support Unit. They spend a lot of their time recording not only crime scenes but also accident scenes. They can put a drone up and get complete photographs and measurements of an accident scene, a bird's eye view of it, if you will, and be within a quarter of an inch as far as the measurements go, which is fantastic as far as the investigation side goes. And I think a lot of the information that we started out doing has been passed on to the various city departments. I believe City Utilities uses it, Public Works uses it, the Fire Department uses it. So it's been a very progressive type of a situation for us.
Sean, discuss the importance of collaboration as you and Councilman Bender just described, not only how police and public works have partnered in the past, but also how city utilities and all the major divisions in the city, we really depend on one another. Why is that so important?
Well, because primarily, anytime we work in the public right-of-way, it's not just public works who has infrastructure in there. It's the traveling public are impacted, the utilities are impacted because they occupy space in the public right-of-way. So we got to coordinate with all of them, and most importantly with emergency access, emergency vehicles. So we got to make sure that police, fire have access to any routes that they get called on during an emergency. They know what roads are closed, what roads are open during an emergency, and our goal is to try to minimally impact traffic as much as we possibly can. Marty talked about the use of technology and drones. What that has done is reduce the amount of time that roads are closed or traffic is impacted, whether it be for an accident, for a crime, or for construction as well. So the technology part of it is very critical to what we do, and as he mentioned, we share resources as much as we possibly can. One of the things that we work with police department a lot is during events. It has become increasingly challenging to organize an event, particularly since what we saw a few months ago down in New Orleans. We have open streets. We've got the Three Rivers Festival. We got all sorts of events that draw lots of crowds. So we help out with trucks being utilized as barricades, while police department provides the personnel and the manpower to make sure that those events are conducted safely.
City Council serves as the legislative branch overseeing the finances for the city of Fort Wayne. And Councilman, from the legislative perspective, why is this construction season, not only this year but every year, so important, and those dollars that we invest? You and the other council members always take a close look at that to make sure we're maximizing that value to the taxpayers.
I think probably one of the biggest concerns that most of the council people have, and because of the number of calls that we get, is usually having to do with the utilities, or in the area of public works, especially the roadways. If they have potholes in them, we get the calls as well as they do. And then the streets that need to be repaved, the new sidewalks, you have trip hazards, or you may not even have a sidewalk at all. And these are all very high demand type of services that are being requested. One of the other ones is the trail system. It's amazing how well loved our trail system in this city is. And it's always a pleasure to see the trails come before us, because I think everybody in the city seems to really like the trails, And I know they have a lot of support amongst all the city council members as well. But you know, one of the big things is, like I say, is making sure that the money is available and that the concerns of the neighborhoods are being addressed. If you have some really bad streets, some of them are concrete streets, and they've been torn up for years, and the city is getting around to replacing a lot of that, and a lot of that is out north. I believe northeast is where quite a few of them are, and you know, we're addressing those. And you know, since the infrastructure of the city is so important, we want to make sure that we get the biggest bang for the dollar that we can. And Sean and his people have done an outstanding job as far as making sure that our concerns are being met, which are the concerns of the public. So it's a major issue for the city council people to partner with Public Works as much as possible.
Sean, let's talk about, for a few minutes, how we dictate or determine how we do these projects. Let's talk about concrete streets and asphalt streets, sidewalks, alleys. How does all that come together?
So before I get into how we make selections on projects, I do want to mention that prior to about 2013, a majority of our funding came from gasoline taxes, came to the federal government. And over the years, the amount of gasoline taxes that became available kept shrinking as much as possible. And in 2013, we had about $3 million that we were putting into our capital improvement program. This was down from $7 million when I started working for the city in 2007. Today we are putting in over $45 million a year. So in order to get to that point, we had to refocus our funding sources, and we've stepped away from simply using gasoline taxes to using income taxes and economic development dollars. So from the standpoint of how we look at projects, it's really important that we prioritize economic development and income taxes, because if we don't have the revenue coming from those two streams, we don't have the revenue to maintain our roads. When it comes to prioritizing, we use a fairly efficient data-driven process. We try to keep the politics out of infrastructure. We have a system where we rate all our streets on an annual basis, and we pick the worst streets to invest in every year, and we pick a street from every political subdivision, or pick a neighborhood from every political subdivision, and try to distribute our funds as equitably as possible. When it comes to things like sidewalks, those are pretty much complaint driven, and city council usually takes a lot of those complaints, and we try to respond to them as much as we possibly can. And as the councilman mentioned, our priority is to respond to complaints as quickly as possible. And in order to be able to do that, we have 3 delivery types for projects. Our major capital is done through our city engineer's office, and those are major widening and reconstruction projects. They can take several years to develop. They typically require acquisition of right-of-way, permitting, and a lot of detailed design work. Then there is a second level of delivery where we design a project the prior year and build it the following summer. Those are typically remove and replace type projects, resurfacing projects, or concrete street neighborhood projects where we just replace what's existing and put something new on there. And then the most popular type of project we have right now is our miscellaneous contracts, where we don't even know what the project is until we get a complaint, and we are able to respond to that within a very short period of time, usually within a matter of a few weeks, if not a few days. So having those 3 different delivery types is pretty critical to us, because our goal at the end of the day is to shorten the time frame between when we get a complaint to when we address the complaint.
Councilman, you're in the unique position where you serve at large, so you're not only hearing concerns from maybe one district, but you're hearing it citywide. How does that impact how you go about meeting the needs of your constituents?
Well, you know, the city council is divided up. There's 6 councilmatic districts, and there's a district councilman for each one of those. And then there's, on top of that, there's 3 at large. city council people, and the at-large can basically assist any of the district councilmen as far as an issue that's in their particular district, and then the at-large, the three at-large spend a lot of their time working with other various city departments that address a lot of the problems that are an issue pretty much citywide. So like snow removal or maybe during the floods or anything like that, the city council at large spent a lot of time working with the various city departments and also with the various neighborhoods that are being affected by those different issues. So it's a little bit different, but it's I like it. It's everything's different every day, so it's you don't get bored.
Another question I wanted to ask you, Councilman, is about the relationship between the administration, Mayor Tucker's, and City Council. Things are going very well with open communication, dialogue, building trust. What has that meant to Council to have that open door with the mayor, not only to have discussions about maybe a particular issue, maybe not public works related, but also public works related would be in some of the funding that we've been able to partner with City Council on to bring some more infrastructure projects to neighborhoods?
I would say that, we've been very fortunate. Mayor Tom Henry and also Mayor Tucker have been wonderful as far as, working with them. They pretty much have an open door policy for the city council people to come in and talk to them about any problems or issues that they might have. And, Mayor Tucker has been very accommodating to making herself available to the council members every week. She offers us time to come in and talk, and I'm sure that if I had an issue or whatever, it's just a matter of making a phone call and stopping up and see her. She's been very good for working with the councils, and so there's not too much of an issue there as far as the two branches of city government working together. We seem to get along quite well.
Sean, let's talk about the importance of technology. We have the Engage Fort Wayne website now, engage.cityoffortwayne.org. We also have the city website, cityoffortwayne.org, where residents can go learn more about our neighborhood construction projects, but they also can have that one-on-one interaction where if they have questions, they can submit an email and get that direct contact back. Why is that so important?
It is important because I think we live in a time where people want to have access to information all the time and also very quickly. So having those mediums available for them to be able to communicate with us about issues that they're facing, about the updates that they need, or simply because they're curious about what's going on in city government is pretty important. So we try to train our staff to be engaged as much as we possibly can with any form of technology, whether it's social media, whether it is just being active online. One of the things that I have tried to encourage in Public Works is to make sure that my staff makes themselves available to the public and they are known for what they do. It's important for our community to know the name of the street commissioner, the city engineer, the traffic engineer, so that they can identify a person with a responsibility that they're charged with. And from that standpoint, I know the administration has been very forthcoming with the types of events that they do, the mayor's walks that she does all the time. Mayor Henry used to do them all the time. So it allows us an opportunity to work with the community and get ourselves out there so that we don't have to rely on one person getting a call and being told, hey, I need you to find the person who is responsible for this and take care of it. We get calls just like council members do. We get calls from citizens directly about things that concern them as well.
Councilman, speaking of innovation, I know one of the projects you were interested in, the Avenue of Autos, where we took some property off of Illinois Road and have really revamped fleet management, traffic operations, the radio shop, a lot of different things that came into play there. And I know that project was a particular interest to you. How do you think things are going?
I think that was probably one of the best moves that the city ever made. I know at one time the garage facility over there off of Wallace Street, it was built back in, I think it was leftover World War II buildings. It's an old Quonset hut, and that was the city garage, and it was actually rusted through. You could see daylight through the walls in some of the areas, and it definitely was not big enough, and it didn't have the capabilities of being added onto, and so there was an effort that was put forth to look at building a new garage, and it had the nickname of Garage Mahal, and it was going to be a very expensive proposition to build it. And then the city came up with the idea of looking out there at Avenue of Autos, and they were able to strike a deal with the people out there, and it's been a very, very good turnaround for the city. It was you got buildings that were already built to do the things that we needed done. We had to put some money into them to make them a little bit bigger, to do, the big equipment like fire trucks and street department trucks and that sort of thing. But it's been money well spent, and there was a lot of thought that went into how it was designed and how it was expanded. The city now has plenty of room out there, which is one of the reasons that we were hurting so bad. We couldn't store cars. We couldn't, the garage facility wasn't capable of doing everything that we needed to do, but it is now. And I think it was money well spent, and I think the departments that moved in out there, like the garage, the radio shop. The radio shop was in an old fire station that was, probably about 60, 70 years old, and it needed to be replaced, and they have since bulldozed it, and that was probably the best thing to ever happen to that building. But, they've got a state-of-the-art building now, and with plenty of room to grow, and much better facilities than what they had before. The street lighting department has a much larger yard to put all their poles and equipment in, and like I say, the garage is just fantastic, and that's another part of Public Works that needed to be done. So it's the city made, I think, some very, very good decisions as far as being able to repurpose those buildings and use buildings that were already designed to do what we needed done. So it's I think it was a good move.
Sean, Avenue of Autos is a great example of City Council partnering with the administration and also Public Works. Former Controller Gary Moore helped put together a finance package where we were able to pay cash and not have to borrow funds to save taxpayer dollars. And what has that project meant to your employees in Public Works?
Realistically, it solved about 90% of my spatial needs because it impacted two of my big departments, and then it's also created two more departments an opportunity to move into another complex, hopefully within the next year or so. So one of the things that, as Marty was saying, it's made us more efficient because in the old building we didn't have enough room. So if we had a car up on a left, a vehicle up on a left, and that vehicle now needed a path that was going to take 2 or 3 days, now we had to take the vehicle off the lift, find a place to park it, bring another vehicle in, and that created a lot of inefficiencies. Where we are at now, we got enough lifts that, if a technician is working on a vehicle and he has to wait for parts, he can just go and use another lift. So those types of things can create a lot of efficiencies and make us deliver much better service to our departments that we service.
Councilman, Public Works is also providing those essential day-to-day services such as garbage and recycling collection, leaf pickup, snow removal. Discuss the significance of those areas and why it's so important that we do those services well.
Well, you brought up a couple there. I'd like to add in there, the snow removal. It's always one of the most important things that gets done, because if the snow's not been plowed, then people are not getting to work, or they're not getting to work on time, or the schools won't be functioning because nobody can get in. The people trying to get to work using the buses, they can't operate either. So the snow removal is a very big issue for us. And there's having those the equipment available to do stuff. You look back at the floods, especially like the flood of '82. If it wasn't for the street department and public works, we'd probably still be underwater. They went to work and basically formed an army of trucks and laborers, and they were able to help. And the city motivated a lot of the citizens to go out and help sandbag, and it was just it was fantastic to sit back and watch and how everybody pulled together and worked during that event. And so, like I say, Board of Works, they're kind of the backbone of the city as far as various city services go. So it's very important for city council to help support them in their endeavors.
Sean, your thoughts on the importance of the solid waste department, the work they're doing, the leaf pickup, in addition to what Councilman Bender referenced about snow removal. Those are those key essential services that the public comes to expect from us.
Right. So solid waste, I mean, we remember just not too long ago when we had some bad service from a contractor, how upset it made the community. So it's a pretty important service, and we can't afford to have a poor quality of service. We're fortunate now that the service has improved to a point where we don't hear any complaints about it. And we're also able to take care of things that are unexpected, like when we have events that generates a lot of garbage. We don't depend on our contractor. We have the ability to take care of it ourselves. Also, to expand a little bit on what Councilman Bender mentioned earlier about snow removal, under emergency conditions, if there's 3 inches of snow on the ground, there isn't an ambulance, a police vehicle, or a fire truck that has a snow plow on them. So if you got 3 inches of snow on the ground, that first responder is going to be that snow plow operator. So we make sure that they are trained, they are ready, willing, and able to do that job during the winter time. And this, just to understand how our street department is sized, their equipment and their staffing levels are based on staffing 18 snow routes around the city. And when it is not snowing, we find other things for them to do, including paving and mowing and all the other operations. But their primary function is snow removal. And unlike in other agencies like in NDOT, where when it snows, everybody drives a snowplow truck, the only folks who drive snowplow trucks in the city of Fort Wayne are street department employees.
Well, gentlemen, I've really enjoyed the discussion as we've learned more about the partnership between Public Works and City Council. And Councilman Bender, we'll look forward to working with you, as it's hard to believe we'll be starting to think about the 2026 budget here before too long, and we'll work together on that very well too. And we'd like to thank you for watching Public Works in Your Neighborhood. We would encourage you to visit our Engage site at engage.cityofortwayne.org. We'll see you next time.